What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Alteisen from CCS Toys. Now this one has been heavily requested all last year from everybody in my comments. So we're going to be taking a look at this today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's take a look and see what we've got inside. Now, of course, with CCS, we do tend to get very big boxes. So I've gone ahead and taken all of that stuff out. But of course, first things first, in typical CCS fashion, beautiful box artwork. Love it. It is digital, but it looks really, really good there. So I really like that. And then of course, we've got the hand drawn of the Alteisen there. I think this one looks okay. I'm not as big of a fan of this drawing as I have been of, say, like the Champion Edition of Great Maz and Kaiser or even Dan Kuga, but I think it still looks pretty good. But we like that. And then in typical fashion, we do have a ton of accessories here. So this is the front skirt here with the hands. You've got a lot of effect parts here. Looks like you've got bullets for the revolver there. You've got the head there with the backpack. Looks like the back skirt there. So you've got quite a bit here. You've got the Alteisen stand here. Now, apparently there is a issue with this to where something was wrong with this. And so they did a replacement for that. I do have that as well. And then you have the stand pieces there. I don't think there's anything on the back. You got your two stand pieces, your metal rods there. So you do have those. Let's see what else we got. Also, we've got the effect for, I guess what is the heat horn, I guess is what it's called. And then this is for the missile there. So you have each individual one of those. Looks very, very good based on what I'm seeing here. So it looks really good. Take a look and see what we've got in here. Move that to the center there. And then it looks like these are probably like your shoulder mounts. So that's for his gun there. And then you've got where's the revolver one? I think this is the revolver one there. So you do have that there. So that looks amazing too. And then it looks like you have the two shoulder pieces there. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the Alteisen here. So let's pull him out. Of course, in typical CCS fashion, he's very, very heavy. Let's see if I can get him out with one hand. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and take some of the wrapping off. So of course, first things first for me, he's very, very heavy. So, but he does look really, really good. So I'll be interested to put all of his stuff on him. But yeah, he's gonna be a big boy. And ever since I started liking the Kasi or the XC or, you know, that the Gundam from Hathaway's Flash, I really started having more of an affinity for chunkier suits and chunkier like robots, because I think that there is a unique charm to them. But I think this looks really, really good. So really like that. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put all of the stuff on him and see what he looks like all put together. Wow, Alteisen. Now this looks amazing. Very, very heavy duty. Of course, I expect nothing less from CCS. I think this looks spectacular. Now, I am not one. Oh, wow. Look how that comes out. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Go to the other side. Yep. Wow. That's where the missile pods go in, I think. Very, very interesting. Yeah, he's definitely a heavy duty mech, this one. So I think he looks really, really good. The lighting looks good. A lot of detail here. Now, I have not played Super Robot Wars, so even though I know that's where he comes from, I have not played it. So, but I know that he's in there. Look at all these thrusters in the back there. This looks amazing. I would say, generally speaking, he's really, really good as far as the feet too. He's got really long feet, so I don't think he'll have much trouble standing, but I think this looks amazing. I like this. And then of course you got the revolver there on the side, and you've got the rotating round. We'll go through that in a little bit, but This looks amazing. I like this. Now, this is not the first that I've seen of this guy, because when I was in Japan, I actually did see him on display, and I was gonna try to bring him home, but I did not have enough space in my luggage. So I was like, well, I'll try to get him online and get him shipped. So that's what we ended up doing. But I think overall, I think this looks amazing. This looks amazing, especially if you're someone who just likes mechs in general. Now, of course, I'm very specific to Gundam and Brave and some of the other ones, but just if you are a fan of just mecha in general, I can't see you not liking this. Looks really, really good. So let's take a look at the Alteisen's accessories. He actually doesn't have that many outside of like the guns and stuff that he already has on him. So let's see what we got. So first up, we do have the rounds for the revolvers. So you do get 6 of them. Let me try to pull this out here if I can. Pull this out of the plastic. Like that. So you do get that there. So you do get 6 of those, and we'll kind of go through that as we mess with him, but you do get 6 rounds. And then you have the effect parts for the revolving stake. So that's that spike thing on his right arm. So you do have this. This comes in 2 pieces, so you can use this one or you can use this one. So I think that that's pretty cool. So you can have those. And then you have the square claymore effect. So this is pretty much for the missile pods that are on his shoulders. So you have these parts here, and then you have the actual effect parts here. So you have a small, medium, and large, if I can hold them all. Let's see, as I drop one. So you have small, medium, and large here. And so you have 8 of the large, 8 of the small, and then 4 of the mediums. So you do have those, and then all you would do for these, let's go ahead and put this in here, kind of like this. And you can kind of put those in there any way that you want, but you do have those. And then you've got, let's see, 3, 6, 9, you got about 10 holes there. So you can put 10 on each side. And then you do get this extra piece of the revolving stake. So it looks like it's just the tip part. So you can put that on there as well. And I think what that is so you can put this on the outside here, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty much what you would do is just take this and then you kind of put this on there like that. So it can come out like that. So you do have that piece of the revolving stake. I'm not even sure you can see that well, but you do have that piece. So that's what that piece is for the revolving stake. And then we have the effect part for the heat horn. So if you want to take off that horn there, you can put this one on, and this one will light up when you turn on the lights. So it will kind of permeate throughout that. Of course, we'll go through that in the lighting section, but you do have this effect piece. And then lastly, I wanted to go over the 2 stands that we get, or the base of the stands that we get for Alteisen. Now, apparently there was an error on the first run of these, that you have a space here between these kanji, and I guess that changes the meaning in Japanese. And so what they did for the people who bought them, they sent out a new one. So they sent out this one, and then that one, that kanji or whatever, has been moved over to the right. So it looks like it's how it was supposed to be originally. So I do remember seeing something about that on Japanese Twitter where they talked about that, and CCS did send out a statement saying that they were going to send people a replacement one. So that's the replacement one. So that's really what the controversy was about the stand. So now we're going to take a look at the Alteisen's articulation. I'm not going to take off his armor pieces because I know that he has a little bit more articulation in the shoulders, but considering that he's going to have all his armor on when you try to pose him, we're not going to do that. So let's get to it. So first up, for the head, he can move that up. He can move that down, way down. Looks really good there. He's got a little bit of side to side. I wouldn't chance much more than that. Let's see if he can spin 360. Now the issue here is going to be how long these are, but I'm going to say without having to take them off, you can get between 45 and 90 degrees, I think, without too much trouble. Of course, it's going to want to hit the top of his shoulder there, but I think overall, not too bad. For the shoulder, let's see what we've got here. So you've got a decent range. He's got about shoulder's length there, so not too bad there. Let's see how high you can get this. Now, of course, you're going to have to move this whole section since we're not going to take it off. So, and actually it looks like it wants to come out, but let's see what we can do here. So let's try to rotate that. So it does look like he can get 360, even with that big old shoulder on there. So you do have that. Now I will say that when you start to spin it, it does want to come off. So just be cognizant of that. Let's see if he's got any in. He's got a little bit of in, not that. He got a little bit of out there too. So that's actually really good. And then you can, looks like you can move the shoulder piece in and out as well. So you've got quite a bit of articulation there. For the bicep, it does look like you could spin that 360. Now, of course, because he's got this big old gun on him, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do it, but he can do it. So I think that that is really, really good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the shoulder here. So let's take that and let's bend this shoulder. Really, really good articulation, especially considering how bulky he is. So you got a double hinge here and here. For the forearm, It does look like you can spin that 360 as well. So really good there. And then for the wrist, he does have up and down, in and out. So I do like that. It is a little loose for me. I'd like it to be a tad bit tighter, but I don't think you're gonna really have much problem with that. So you do have that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the fingers. So you do have articulated fingers there. Really, really good. They're not the repulsor hands, so, but you do have those, and those will bend all the way in as well. And then you also have a movable thumb there. For the chest and midsection, let's see what we've got here. So it will go in. It looks like you have 2 points of articulation there. So let's go ahead and spin that down. So you've got that. Let's see. Does he have any backwards? He does. So you have 2 parts of articulation right here at the top here, and then right here where this like cannon piece is. So you do have 2 there. Let's see if you've got any side to side. I would say, nah, he's a little bit bulky, but yep, you do. So you've got some side to side there. And let's see if we can get him to go 360. Now, of course, because he's so big, this may be a little bit difficult, but I would say, oh, I know what it is. It's the back piece here that's hitting that. So you're not gonna get 360, unfortunately, but I would say that's roughly about 45 degrees. So you can do that on both sides. So not too bad. For the waist section with the front skirts, these will move independently of each other. You do have some out, you do have some in, so you've got a decent range of motion there. Let's take a look at the sides skirts. You've got some that will move back. You've got to move up a little bit. You've got up and down, so you've got a little bit there. And then let's take a look at the back skirt. Now you've got a big back skirt. Now this, where the thrusters are, this will move in and out, and that will pop out when you have that there. And then this will move up and down as well. Of course, I don't expect any side to side or anything, but pretty decent for the back skirt. And then for the legs, let's go ahead and move this stuff out of the way so we can kind of see that. Now he's a little heavy, but I can get it, that's between 45 and 90 degrees. So not too bad. Let's see how he can go out. It's about the same. So, and this is uneven here at the top of the thigh. So that's probably why. So it's kind of rotating around that ball joint there. So you do have that. Let's see how high he can raise this without popping off the front skirt. So I would say, let's go ahead and lift that up a little bit. I would say that's exactly at 90, maybe 95 to 100 degrees. That's about it. Let's go ahead and move that knee down. So not too bad for the knee, especially considering how bulky he is. Now he's got a lot of mass here, but you can still get the V out of there, all things considered. And now for his foot, you do have this front guard here. So you do have that. It will go up. So he's got a little bit of toe articulation there, and the foot goes up. So it will go up. It will not really go down. You got to move that ball joint there. So that's about what you'll get on the downside. It will move in. You do have this piece that will flex out. So you can move that this way. But for this side, that one will not flex. So you can move it the other side like that, but you're not going to get too much going outwards. But that's what you got for the feet. So that's what we have for articulation. I will say that all things considered, especially considering how much armor this guy has on him, I think that his articulation on this is really, really good, all things considered. His shoulders can do quite a bit considering that he's got these big old things here on his shoulders. The arm articulation was good, hand articulation was good. The waist, you can't get 360 on it, but that's probably its only limitation. And the legs, yeah, would I have liked them to, go a little bit higher as far as being able to move the legs and thighs up? Sure, but I think overall, especially considering how heavy this guy is, because he's got a lot of die cast in him. So I think overall, I think it was really, really good. So this is typical CCS for me. I know what to expect now with CCS, and always good for them. So now we're gonna go over the Alteisen's weapons, especially the ones that he has on him as far as the cannons and stuff. So first off, we're gonna take a look at the revolving stake. So what you're gonna do for this guy, so this is pretty much like his revolver. So of course he's got a spike here, and this is the revolver part. This part will come out, and there is a button that you slide back on the inside here, and a button right here that will unlodge that. And then you can move this out, and then you can put the rounds in. So as I said before, you do get 6 rounds for this, and it might be a little bit easier for me to take this off just so I can show you here what you have. So then what you'll do is you'll just take these rounds and put them in this way, just like that. Almost like a real gun. Very, very interesting. So we got those, and then we got 2 more here. So you get a total of 6. All right, and then in order to put those back in, you're gonna take this, push this lever back, and then it'll rotate back in there. So you got that just like that. And then there's a couple of other things that you can do with this. Now, of course, if you hit this back piece here, that revolver piece will spin. If you see how that's moving, so that's pretty cool there. And then if you want to eject the rounds, what you'll do, let's go ahead and turn this and pull this out this way. like that. And then what you do is you hit this button here and they will fall out just like that. So all 6 of them, looks like there's one more in there that's not coming out, but you can do that. So I think that's pretty cool there. And then you have for this spike part, you can actually push this in and then push that in like that. And then to release it, you hit this button on the top, boom, and it comes out like that. So push that in, boom, just like that. So you've got that. So I think that that is pretty cool. And then while we have it, why don't we go ahead and put the effect parts on there so you can see how that looks. I'm just gonna take these effect parts here, and really all you're gonna do is just slide it in there, just like that. And then you can have it like this. And then if you wanted to simulate like the spike actually coming out, I think I showed this earlier in the accessories section, but you would just face this backwards like this. And if you wanted to kind of simulate this coming through somebody, you would take this and then put this on the outside like this. And then you got this piece here, and then we'll just put that in there. And then you would have it out like that. So I think that that's pretty cool. You can actually lock that in place, and then if you wanted to eject it, that will come out like that too. So you do have that. So that's cool for the effect parts as well. And then I wanted to just go over the square claymores. So those are pretty much the missile pods that he has on his shoulders. So there is a button. We're only gonna do one, but I just wanna, so I can show you. So you just hit this button right here. It's actually a different color from the rest of the shoulder parts. So it's this bright one here, and then those will jettison like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our effect part here. What we'll do is you gotta open these, and then we're just gonna stick this on here. Like that, boom. Just like that. And of course you do get 2 of those. Now, what I noticed with these like missile pods or whatever, I think that the smaller ones go in there a little bit better than the bigger ones. Now you can kind of rotate these even once they're in, but they can be a little bit of a pain to put in because it looks like the connection piece is more of like an octagon shape, and these are round. So, but it's not really that big of a problem, but you can move them once they go in, but you do have that. And let's raise that up so you can kind of see that whole thing. So I think that it looks really, really good there. And I think that it's pretty simple to put on. So even though it will take a little bit of time to put all of these individual ones in, but I think that that is really, really cool. And then you can just close that up back up, and then that locks back in place. But like I said, it's just this button right here, and you hit that, boom, those come out just like that. And then one last thing that I forgot to mention, when you do open the claymores, that in order to kind of simulate how it's actually supposed to be, these will move. So you can move this up, and this will move up as well. And then you've got these fins here in the back. Let's turn these just so you can kind of see those. Let's rotate this up. So these pieces here, you would take that, move that down, move this up. This part comes out there, and it kind of comes out there. So you have your vents showing. So you do have that piece for the back. So I just wanted to go over that before I forgot, but you can close that back up, and then this will slide back in there. There we go. Like that, and then you can rotate those back down. So that's pretty much all that you have for the claymore stuff. And then you have the 3-barrel machine gun. Now this does not spin. That's unfortunate. That would be really cool if it did, but you do get a little bit of articulation here. So you have this butt in the back, and that'll kind of slide out. And so you can kind of get that at an angled look there. So you do have that. So I just wanted to go over that. So you can actually go ahead and put this back on. And since they're kind of upside down, when you actually have them on its arm, it can be kind of tricky to show, especially since it's kind of backwards because they're both on like the back of his forearms. So, but you do have those. So that's pretty much it for his weapons. And then we'll go over his lighting. Now we're gonna go over the Alteisen's lighting. He pretty much only has lighting in one area, and that is the head. It does take one CR927 battery or an equivalent. Now I already have it in its head, but pretty much because this is the normal heat horn here. So you can pull this off, but in order to get to the battery, let's go ahead and take the heat horn off here. And then you just kind of lift it up, and he's got a magnet there. That's why it was fighting me so much. But you've got a magnet there that keeps it there, and then it's sitting right on the top of his head. I don't know if we can see that, but you've got that, and then you've got a button here. So what you'll do is you'll just hit the button like that, and it'll go green. He does have like a fire color as well. So we can hit that again, and then we can go ahead and put this back on just like that. And you can see how that green is coming out while his eyes. And let's make sure that we got that on there correctly. I want to make sure. There we go. So that sign's in there like that. And then let's go ahead and put this on there like that. Boom. And so that's your heat horn. Now the light is on. Now you don't have to worry about This one draining the battery, if you leave it on or if you forget to turn it off, it will go off after about 5 minutes. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off the lights so we can see what they look like with minimum lights on. So there we have it. We just have kind of like the backlights on as normal. Now you can see the eyes there. I will say that the heat horn, unfortunately, it does not brighten up this entire spot here. It's really just at the very bottom itself. But I think that the effect part is kind of bright enough. But so it is bright, but it's not bright enough. I would say that the Ultimate Dan Kuga is definitely way brighter, but of course that one had more lights on it. But I did want you guys to see how that looked. And so it does look very striking in the dark. So you can leave it on if you forget, but let's go ahead and let's just take this guy off real quick. Just like that, we can turn that off. So he has 2 settings, and then we can pull this one off, put that back on there, boom, like that. And then we can take the original heat horn there, and I'll just make sure that that's on there nice and snug, and boom. So that's pretty much what you have for your lighting. Not the best lighting, but I think overall it still does the job. So here we have the Alteisen Airborne on his stand. I'm surprised, to be honest, this stand can support that. Now he does have a metal rod. We are used to seeing that with CCS stands, and there isn't really any adjustable as far as having it go up or down like this. Now you can have it to where it'll kind of lean forward more than it is right now because he's pretty much at his highest setting there. But I will say that when you're putting this stand together, you definitely want to make sure that you take this metal rod and you put it all the way in there, because if it's not all the way locked in, this guy will start to spin on this, and that could be very dangerous when he's up in the air, because of course it could fall over. Now this is locked in pretty good here to the bottom of the waist section. So you do have this here, and this pretty much will not move, but just be careful with that, because when I first put this in, he was actually spinning and I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna fall off. So I would just be cognizant of that when you are putting the stand together, because this guy is pretty heavy. I'm not sure if he's heavier than Ultimate Dan Kuga, but he's still heavy. And of course he's got his little spike effect part on there. I really like how this looks. Now, if you are a fan of just Mecha in general, I have no ties to Alteisen like I do Dan Kuga or Voltron or something like that, because I didn't really grow up playing Super Robot Wars. But I think that overall, I think that just as a mech by itself, I think this is really, really good. And I think that CCS knocked this one out of the park. Do I think it's better than Ultimate Dan Kuga? Ooh, well, that's another story. But I will say that I do like it, and I just wanted to show you guys what he looked like when he was up in the air, and the fact that the stand will support his weight. You're not really gonna be able to do much as far as getting this down, but we can see. Let's go ahead and try it on camera. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we're gonna see, and hopefully it doesn't fall off here. But this part, you can take this, and then you're gonna move this up, because he is holding significant weight. And then you have like 3 or 4 notches here. So if you wanted to have him up like that, you can kind of have him up like this. Let's go ahead and move that. So he's actually down. So he's actually down pretty good here. So, but that base does take up the entire rotating platform, so it is pretty heavy. And can you do a flying pose with them? I'm not so sure. You might be able to. You know that was one of my main complaints with Ultimate Dan Kuga, that he actually has a flying pose, but he could not do it with the stands, and I'm probably not gonna chance it with this guy, but I do think that CCS did amazing work with this. And I am always amazed at CCS's work. I think CCS right now, outside of Blitzway, is the best in the business. I don't think that anybody's beating them right now, whether it's Bandai, Action Toys, and there's a lot of other companies that can do quite a bit, but I think that what CCS has going, especially for the price point, and I think that is the main thing that I wanna get across, because these are pretty much the same cost as a normal metal build. So you're talking about $230, $240, and you get all of his accessories, so you don't have to worry about any option sets like you do with Bandai and things of that nature. And I just think that they're doing amazing work here. So that's what we've got for his weapons. I just wanted to kind of go through that with you. So next, I wanted to do a quick size comparison with this Alteisen. Now, generally speaking, he measures at about 11.02 inches. So he is tall, but he's not the biggest that I've seen. So first I'm gonna bring out the CCS Mazinger Zero. So as you can see, he is slightly bigger than the Mazinger Zero. Of course, I have spoken ad nauseum about Mazinger Zero, so I really like this guy. Then next, we're gonna bring out the CCS Gunbuster. This was the first CCS one I ever got. And of course, Gunbuster pretty much towers over just about everything. He was humongous in the show, and he is humongous here. Let's see if I can get him kind of in the shot there. So as you can see, he is bigger than Alteisen. And as far as height is concerned with CCS, as far as I can remember, the Gunbuster is the biggest figure that I have for CCS. So I just wanted to show you those two. And then of course, lastly, let me go ahead and move these out of the way. Let's move Gunbuster out of here as well. And lastly, I want to bring out, of course, the one I really want to compare him to. That is the CCS Ultimate Dan Kuga. Now, in my top 5 for my Super Robot picks of last year, a lot of people asked me why I didn't pick the Alteisen or why he wasn't in the top 5. Well, clearly, I hadn't bought him yet. So, and to be honest, I probably never would have, but I had plenty of people, a lot of my subscribers kept telling me about the Alteisen, and they're like, Season, when are you gonna get it? When are you gonna get it? It's so good. And that a lot of people were torn between the difference between the two. Now, of course, I will say that the Dan Kuga, he's in a specific pose, and I'm not going to get him out of that. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna get him out of it. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we? Now, what you guys didn't see off camera is that I broke the CCS Mazinger Zero, and I'm not happy about it. These things cost too much to be breaking. But let's go ahead and, all right, there we go. I'll get him kind of stood up straight just so we can get an accurate comparison as far as how big they are. And I would say that generally speaking, they're roughly about the same. I would say that the Alteisen is slightly bigger from foot to head, but if we're counting the top of the horns and then the top of the backpack, that Ultimate Dan Kuga is taller. So depending on how you want to measure that. But I did want to show that. I believe that the Alteisen is better than Ultimate Dan Kuga. I still say no. And the only thing that really, I'm trying to get him to, I don't want him to fall over. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can plant his feet real quick. All right, there we go. That should be a little bit better. All right, so the main reason is the main reason why I don't give Alteisen the nod over Ultimate Dan Kuga is the same reason I didn't give the Blitzway Mazen Kaiser over him. The Ultimate Dan Kuga's lighting is superior. The lighting for Ultimate Dan Kuga is just superior. It just is. Now, I have problems with it personally, but I think the lighting for the eyes, the wings, the feet, it just has lighting everywhere, to where with this guy, he really just has the lighting in the eyes. And even though it's decent, I'm not gonna say that it's bad by any means. I think that it's bright enough, but with the heat horn effect part, I was actually kind of disappointed that it didn't kind of permeate throughout the entire horn. And it was just really at the base of the horn there, to where with Dan Kuga, he has so many lights and stuff that it's crazy. So I still give Ultimate Dan Kuga the nod, but I wanted to give you guys a comparison between the two. So I still stand with my pick for number 1 for Super Robots from last year, which is Ultimate Dan Kuga. But now we'll get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, the CCS Alteisen. I must admit that I think that this figure is tremendous. There's not much that he can't do. His articulation is great. The accessories are great, especially considering how big and bulky that he is. I must admit, I didn't expect as much out of him, but he's really, really good. So it seems like my subscribers were correct in the fact that they praised this figure so much in the comments that I had to check it out. So even though I have no ties to anything from Super Robot Wars, I think that this is a tremendous figure. The only real weakness that he has is his lighting. I think that the lighting could have been a little bit brighter, a little bit stronger as far as the lights, not for the eyes, but for the heat horn. I think that that could have been a little bit better. And maybe if you had had some lights in some other places as well, I think that you could have done really, really good. But I think this guy is really, really good. I really do not have any complaints outside of the lights for this guy. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. Out of 10, I'm giving this guy a 9.9. He's practically perfect. I still put the Ultimate Dan Kuga in front of him just because of the lighting, but outside of that, this guy is really, really good. I have generally no complaints about him at all. I've never had him topple over. The stands are really, really good. He can hold that weight there. All of the accessories, that what's not to like here. So so that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, subscribe to the channel, send this one out to all of the Super Robot fans, all of the Super Robot Wars fans, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.